Hi guys, I thought we'd fix us some 5-minute chocolate Christmas fudge. It's real simple and easy, so I thought we'd get busy and see if we could make some fudge. It doesn't take much ingredients. First of all, we're going to put 2 tablespoons of butter in the pot. Then we're going to add 2/3 cup of evaporated milk, 1 2/3 cup of granulated sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and we're going to go ahead and heat that up and bring it to a boil. Cook it over medium heat for about 4 or 5 minutes. Now it's got to be to a boil, and then we're going to cook it for 4 to 5 minutes. So you can see I'm adding all the ingredients right now. I tried to record this with some Christmas music in the background, but it came back copyrighted, so I had to delete out the video, and now I'm redoing my video, editing it. I took out the soundtrack, and I'm adding a narration to it, so that's why it kind of doesn't look like it all goes together, but I said I can tell you the ingredients. So that's 2 tablespoons of butter, 2/3 cup evaporated milk, 1 2/3 cup granulated sugar, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And as I said, we're going to bring that to a boil, and we're going to have to stir it constantly so it doesn't stick or burn. And then after we get it to a boil, we cut it down to like a medium heat. It'll continue to boil, and we're going to cook it to 4 to 5 minutes. You can see I'm trying to stir it all up now and get the butter melted, because the butter was in the refrigerator. And I cut 2 tablespoons of butter right off the end of a stick of butter. So that's why it's not soft. It's got to melt in the sugar. I got into Christmas. Sorry about that. My allergies are still knocking my butt, even though we've got freezing cold temperatures. And everything's frozen outside, but my allergies are still kicking in. But anyway, you got to stir it constantly, melt the butter, bring it to a boil, boil it for 4 to 5 minutes. So that's what I'm doing right now. I got in the Christmas spirit, so I decided to cook some fudge. And this recipe is a real simple, easy recipe. One thing you do need to do, remember, whenever you finish and you pour it in your pan, put lots of butter in the bottom of your pan so it doesn't stick. And I'm going to use my glass baking dish to put it in. And please, let it cool thoroughly. And it even helps to put it in the refrigerator for about a while to help it completely cool off. Because I tried to cut it one time earlier, and you'll see in this video, before it got really cold and before it set, and it was still soft. So my advice to you, it takes several hours for it to cool down, and I kind of jumped the gun trying to cut it in my squares too soon. But after I put it back in the refrigerator and I left it, I took it out a couple of hours later, and it was set up then, and it was okay to cut it, and it would come out of the pan real easy. I said I don't really need fudge, but I got in the Christmas mood and I decided to bake some or make some. I'm not going to eat it all, though. I'll take most of it over to my son's house for Christmas Day with whatever else I take over there. Because you can eat a little square of this and it's so rich. I don't think you'll want a second one. But it's good. It really is good. I had 4 views on the original video already and had to delete it and start over to get the soundtrack off of it. I hate that they do that. They should let you use music in the background, you know, but you can if it's copyrighted. They'll put copyright right on your video and it can cause problems later on down the road, so... Now, after this comes to a boil, and I boil it for like 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes, I'm simply going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm going to take it off the heat after I cook it for 4 to 5 minutes. Then I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm going to add about 1/2 cup of pecans or walnuts, chopped nuts, whatever kind you want. I'm going to put in 1 1/2 cups of semi-chocolate chips. And I found that a 10-ounce bag of chocolate chips is the exact amount that you'll need for this recipe, because it measured out to be 1 1/2 cups. And then you're going to need 2 cups of miniature marshmallows. And I can go ahead and add the recipe to the end of the video. That way you'll have it if you want to print it out or copy it. And you don't have to keep watching the video, or, I mean, you can, you know, watch it as many times as you want. That's up to you. But you can see it's coming to a boil. I can see just a little bit around the edge of the pot that it is coming to a boil. And I like to clean up my mess as I go. I guess all my viewers know me by now. I'm constantly cleaning up behind myself because I don't like a mess in my kitchen. Don't like a mess in any part of my house, really. But just stir it constantly so it doesn't stick. And you can see it's coming to a rolling boil. Yeah, I got in a Christmas mood, so I was playing Christmas music while I was making the fudge, but YouTube didn't like that. It came back copyrighted because of the music, so I had to take it off and then go back and edit it and take the soundtrack out, as well as me talking, because it was all in one audio track, and then come back and narrate it myself, so. But we'll get it done. But it's freezing cold. You know, it got down so cold yesterday. It was 19 degrees all day, and then the temperature started dropping. And it was only 10 degrees last night. So I know I've lost plants that are even in the little greenhouse. because that type of temperature, I don't think the lights even helped. I mean, they help, but not 100%. So I'm sure my rose bushes will be fine. My aloe vera will probably be fine, but I think I've lost the mother of millions and a couple of other things in there, because it was laying flat this morning when I looked at it. So unless it comes back from the roots, you know, I have my doubts about my mother of millions plant. As pretty as it was, I should have brought it in the house, but I've already got plants in the house and I was running out of room, and I just thought hopefully it would be okay in the greenhouse, but I was wrong, I guess. Yeah, after the 4 or 5 minutes, you want to take it off the heat. And then at that point, you can add your teaspoon of vanilla and stir your vanilla in. And then we're going to add the 2 cups of marshmallows. And a cup and a half of the chocolate chips, which is a 10-ounce bag. And then we're going to add our chopped nuts. It can be pecans, walnuts, whatever type of nuts you like. It's a half a cup or more. That's up to you. There's a cup, and then another half a cup, which was actually a whole 10-ounce bag. I'm showing you right there. It was a 10-ounce bag of chocolate chips. And I was about to forget to add my nuts right there, but I will add them. There's my half a bag of nuts. And I use walnuts. I buy the cheap brand. It's the chopped walnuts that came in a little bag in the bakery section, because they're not quite as expensive as pecans or some of the other nuts. And I like the walnuts just as well. And now, excuse me, you basically just stir it all up for about a minute or until marshmallows melt and the mixture is thoroughly combined. I kind of left streaks of marshmallows through mine because it reminded me of Rocky Road ice cream. And I love Rocky Road. And then I just simply poured it in a buttered dish. Make sure you have plenty of butter in the bottom of that dish, which I don't think I had enough, but I guess it'll work. Just pour it in and spread it out. And I had just a little handful left of my walnuts. So what I did was when I spread my fudge out, I just sprinkled the rest of the remaining walnut nuts right on top. And kind of took a spoon and pushed them down into the fudge so they wouldn't fall off whenever it was cut. Because I've gotten hold of fudge before and it had nuts on top, but they weren't stuck to the fudge. And when you tried to eat it, the nuts just all fell off the piece of fudge, and it was pretty bad. Because I like my nuts. You know, if I have nuts on something, I want to eat them too. I don't want them to fall on the floor. So that's just a little trick. You know, if you put nuts on top of fudge or candy, you can just press it down in a little bit. You don't cover it up, but just press it down a little bit. So when your fudge sets, your nuts will be kind of secured in. They won't fall out when you cut it. And I'll show you that in just a minute. There I am, just kind of pressing the nuts down into the fudge so they'll stay there. And then, like I said, you've just got to let it set for a couple of hours at least. So it sets and it gets hard, firm. It firms up. Because I tried to cut mine too soon and it was still soft. So after the first piece that I tried to cut, I had to put it back in the refrigerator and let it set there for a couple hours. And there I am trying to cut the fudge the first time, and it was really too soft. I normally don't narrate my videos, but I didn't want to lose the time it took to video all this. And I didn't want it copyrighted, so that's the reason for doing this. Yeah, it didn't hurt to cut it, but it's just too soft. It's not firm and cool enough yet to really cut. And you'll see that in a minute when I try to take the first square out. Yeah, see, I'm not coming up as a square. It's kind of gooey at this point. So I am going to put it back in the refrigerator and let it cool off for a couple more hours. And then it'll be firm enough that you know, I can cut it and it doesn't do that. It'll be in firm little squares. But it is good. Oh God, that's good. I had some on my fingers and I just couldn't resist putting my fingers in my mouth because that is some good stuff. And I'm telling you right then, it's just too soft. It's not firm enough to be cutting it. So I'm going to put it back in the refrigerator. Looks good though, don't it?